Hey, it's Nate McMurray. Sound of Niagara podcast. We're talking about issues, national, international, affecting Southern Ontario and Western New York.
Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
JD Vance.
But I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it. And there is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
Marco Rubio.
What do you think a Trump government would look like, Senator?
It would be chaos.
Trump has committed an act of war. He has pushed our country into a state of war with Iran.
Tulsi
a war
Gabbard.
that will prove to be far more devastating and costly
All
than
these
anything
people.
that we saw
All
with
these
the war in
people,
Iraq,
fakes.
or the war in Afghanistan. It'll make those wars look like
How did they flip-flop
The actions
so
this Trump
severely?
administration has taken in reneging
Power,
and
money.
breaking our
Man.
role in the Iran nuclear
He
agreement.
said
when
stuff
Iran
worse
is
than I said about
complying
Trump.
with
Maybe I'll be
the agreement.
appointed to the
Well,
cabinet.
he's not my candidate, but
Christy
you know,
Nome.
people came to this country for religious freedom. So I believe his statement was un-American, and I don't agree with it.
Right
I
on,
think
Christy.
everybody
What
knows
happened
that
to you?
Don't support him in this primary election. Everybody in this country is very frustrated. This president and this administration have shown us how not to run a country
What happened to
and
you,
have
lady?
placed a lot of burdens on individuals, and people are struggling.
Right on.
It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
No, you're not, quote, unfit for office.
He called him a, quote, cynical a-hole.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia.
Sure is.
I never liked him. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump because I think that he's projecting very complex problems onto simple villains.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Yeah, all right, you get it. They all just completely sold out. Right? Yeah, they did. All of them. They all sold out massively. Again, like, why aren't I in the cabinet? These guys said stuff worse than I did. They're horrible. They're horrible. And I also remember when I was running for office and I was so anti-Trump, the Democrats telling me to tone it down. We all got to have a job in the future. Don't go so harsh. You don't know if he's going to win. Yeah, that's what Democrats told me. And I've named names before, and you don't even know who they are because no one pays attention to the local leadership. But you can look them up. All those folks told me that. Anyway, here we are. Trump, let's just do a quick review of what's happening. Trump wants to suspend the Constitution. He said he was going to do it before, now he's actually going to do it. He's got his surrogates out there, Miller and Vance, this guy Vance.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I never liked him. I don't know who I'm going to vote.
Yeah, this guy, and they're out there saying that, oh, we don't got to follow the courts. You know, John Roberts, Supreme Court Justice, was here last week in Buffalo. He was born in Buffalo. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I wish he wouldn't have voted to give the president immunity. Anyway, he did, and now he was in Buffalo mourning the state of our legal system. A legal system where some of the biggest law firms in the world, like Paul Weiss, decided to give tens of millions of free legal services to Trump for basically whatever he wants. With a little glimmer of hope, I've seen that a lot of new lawyers are refusing to work with the firms that sold out to Trump, and the firms that fought or are fighting Trump are attracting young and the best talent. It makes me hopeful. It makes me less hopeful to hear Trump and his allies saying that Article 2 of the Constitution gives full authority to Trump to do basically whatever he wants. I don't know where they're getting that reading. It just says that the executive power shall rest with the executive. They're also claiming that because Abraham Lincoln wrongfully suspended habeas corpus during the Civil War, therefore Trump can, because we're also facing a similar level of crisis. What's the crisis, Trump? The fact that people came here to work on farms and in factories and in hospitality services because there's not enough workers, because we have a declining population. That's the crisis? It's just a joke. The crisis is that people with a little more melanin in their skin than you and I are coming here to have babies. Is that the crisis? I think so. These are horrible people. And we're going to get into it a little bit more in a second. I mean, basically they're saying the president has absolute power to put people in jail. Anybody he wants, you, me, a judge who rules against him. That's where this is going, by the way. No habeas corpus means we can come to your house and put you in jail without a hearing for any reason whatsoever. There's no way to check it. There is no check. And they say that Article 2 gives him this supreme authority along with the ruling by the Supreme Court giving him immunity. Article 1, however, gives Congress the legislative authority, and it gives Article 3 gives the judiciary power to oversee, review laws and executive actions, whether they're constitutional or not. But Trump's going to ignore the Constitution. How do we know this? He's signaling it already. He's saying, he's Andrew Jackson's portrait hangs on the wall of the Oval Office now. Andrew Jackson famously told the Supreme Court, come and get me. Let me see you enforce your order against me. There was a judgment, and he said, let me see him enforce the judgment, is what he told us, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court back then. Yeah, it was a horrible time. It was the time where many people in this country suffered. And it was a long time ago, but Trump's like, that's the era I want to go back to, the time when Native Americans were chased from their land. It's disgusting. You can't even make it up. And it's happening with, while they joke and look jovial, or he does at least. So it doesn't seem real, but I'm going to show you some videos that make it very real for you in a second. It's a scary time. And let's say the Supreme Court rules and they want to put Miller and JD and these people who are telling us that the president can deny the Constitution in jail. Let's say that happens. Who's going to enforce it again? Back to the Andrew Jackson line. I think that the U.S. Marshals serve Pam Bondi. You've seen her, right? You think that they're going to listen to her? We see these ICE agents, these thugs, these idiots. I know a couple ICE agents. I'm not saying that everyone who works for ICE is bad, but if you work there, let me give you some advice. Quit. You don't want to be part of the Gestapo. Quit. You got ICE agents breaking into U.S. citizens' homes and terrorizing them right now. Fully militarized with masks and no identification. That's what's happening in America. If there's an invasion happening, it's an invasion by federal shock troops. That's the invasion that's happening. That's the real emergency happening in the country. But, I want to read something to you. If I can find it. Sorry. I was thinking about, which I often do. Did I throw it away? I think I did. Anyway, I was thinking about why did I throw that away? I was thinking about the Animal Farm, right? In an Animal Farm, you have the idea that there's Snowball. Remember Snowball? There's Napoleon, the big pig, and then there's Snowball, and there's Squealer. And Snowball, or Napoleon, represents authoritarian rule, arguably Stalin. And, Napoleon. And the Snowball represents, in the book, he represents Trotsky. And the thing is, the story is a parable about authoritarianism, but loosely based on what happened in the Soviet Union. And it's about these farm animals who have a revolution against the abuse of the humans, and they're going to have a utopia, and they dream of a future world of peace and harmony together. But slowly, Napoleon takes control, and he raises up these puppies that scare away Snowball, and Snowball's the pure believer in an ideal government. And that's one part of it. But the more insightful part of it for our day is that Napoleon uses Snowball, who never comes back and may be dead. He uses his story as a way to scare the farm animals into obeying his will. He says that Snowball is sabotaging equipment, and when the crops fail, he blames Snowball. When things go wrong, he says Snowball's out there, maybe even working with the humans to undermine our efforts. And it sounds like what they do here with MS-13. I'm not saying MS-13 is not a threat, but you think it's the threat that they're saying it is, akin to the Civil War when Lincoln suspended habeas corpus, akin to the attack on Pearl Harbor when they suspended habeas corpus. That's what we're enduring. Listen, I've been to farms many times across Western New York. And what I see more than anything else is people begging for workers, begging for visa programs to make these folks legal. It's disgusting. It's not just the Republicans. The Democrats did it too. Kathy Hochul rose to power in Western New York, the Democratic governor. She don't want people to remember this, but she rose to power doing what? Vilifying immigrants. Saying, they have to get they can't get licenses. And by not getting licenses, they were trapped on farms. They became an underclass, unrecognized and unseen, unable to go anywhere, unable to drive a car. And she used fear to unite people. That's what they're doing now, saying that we're being invaded. So let's look at the invaders, shall we? That we need to suspend habeas corpus for. Here we go. This poor woman, remember her? Ripped off the streets of her. She was studying. She's a Fulbright scholar. I'm a Fulbright scholar. She's a Fulbright scholar. I look more threatening than she does, I would guess. This poor lady, wait to hear her talk. They put this woman in prison for writing an article saying that she was opposed to what Israel was doing in Gaza. Well, let's just take a look. Does she look like a threat to society?
For all your support and love. In the last 45 days, I lost both my freedom and also my education during a crucial time for my doctoral studies. I am so excited to get back to my studies, community, friends, professors, and
so this woman looks like a threat to society, that we had to send multiple federal agents in masks to arrest her on the street?
And thank you.
Is this what kind of country we live in?
So with my incredibly talented lawyer
what a
team,
waste of money.
Is
this what you guys signed up for? You federal agents, you ICE agents, to bully ladies like this? To bully them and scare them and rip them off the streets? You guys are goons. Weirdos, trying to. I know you guys. You're balding middle-aged men with shrinking in more ways than one, if you know what I mean. Drooping, taking off-market testosterone to try to be menacing when you realize you could never even make a jump shot and you never played football, you never could do crud, but you want to be a man. You want to be a tough guy. I meet you cops all the time. You're like degenerates, most of you, not all of you, yes, but many of you, you know it. There's you'll have this clean, once in a while you get a clean cut, good looking guy who's like, I'm just trying to do the right thing. But if you are trying to do the right thing, quit ICE. You can make money in life lots of different ways. You don't got to make money arresting women and children, terrifying the public, sneaking around with masks on. You don't need to do that. Trust me, life is short. I'll be gone soon. You'll be gone soon. And the legacy you want to leave behind is, I got a nice 401k that I made arresting women in the streets. Dear Lord, what is wrong with you? You know this ends, right? Life ends, and you want to spend it being a bully and getting bad tattoos and taking, black market testosterone? Come on, guys. Read a book. Life is beautiful. Take your mask off. All right, here we go. You laughing? Well, this guy's laughing too. Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's my sidekick. He's over here in the corner. Hey, Tucker. So good. Love it, Tucker.
It's so good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tucker. All right, here we go. Okay, this is a video we're seeing. Look at this little girl. Look at her. Look at how many military there are. There's so many. They're chasing her. Look what they do. They grab her, slam her to the ground, right? Why? I thought Trump was going to get criminals. What are they doing? Look at this teenage girl. Look at how many people are around her. All those men. Oh, you tough guys. Look at them pushing neighbors away. Why? In a suburban neighborhood. Why are they doing this? Oh, she overstayed her visa? God forbid. Let's send in the military. Send in the same unit that invaded Iraq to grab this teenage girl. Look at this. Listen, you are not men. I'm sorry. You are not good men for sure, but you're not even, I don't know what you are with your masks and your unmarked cars and unmarked uniforms. You are goons. Don't be proud. You're not patriots. The pendulum's going to swing. If you're a patriot, quit now while you can, you weirdos. All right, here's another one. Sorry.
It's really crazy. It kind of feels like
ICE agents.
We're not in the U.S. That's just was shocking to everybody.
One day after a warning from local advocates, surveillance video showing the moment federal agents popped up at a popular D.C. restaurant, Millie's on Mass Ave, an apparent widespread immigration enforcement operation.
Go get those short order cooks, quick.
And that's scary.
We're under threat.
Is this just a scare tactic? I don't really see the purpose in it.
It's dangerous. Get those.
Themselves as ICE and
Get those waitresses.
In the video, you can see the manager speaking with them as they ask to speak with employees and review I-9 forms to verify.
Great. Who's going to work at the restaurant then? You, Tucker? Guess not. I mean, who's going to work at the restaurant? It's just disgusting. Anyway, let's watch a little more here.
Eligibility to work. He refused, saying the restaurant keeps those records off-site, and they left this form saying they have until the 12th to turn them over.
I think it's pretty absurd. Immigrants are the backbone of not only the restaurant industry,
Everyone,
but
listen.
a lot of other.
I'm going to tell you something. Immigrants are the backbone of small business in America. Ooh, sorry I said that. Is that bad? Yeah. True though, Tucker. It's true. Small businesses are the backbone of our country, and they can't, many of them, whether they want to tell you this or not, can't survive. They can't survive without migrant labor, especially major farms. We live here in Western New York. We have the ridge up there by the water, Lake Ontario, and it's the fruit belt, literally. It creates all this, Concord grapes. I think it's the only place in the world that can commercially produce Concord grapes. All those farms use migrant labor. Sorry. No, it hurts your feelings to hear that. I know you want to believe that it's only some, evil Democrats somewhere in New York City that are employing migrant labor, but all you Republican farmers are doing it. I know it. You know it. I've been to your farms.
Crazy. It kind of feels.
Right. One more.
They don't have a warrant. They're taking a mom. They're taking a mom.
A chaotic scene unfolded in Worcester, Massachusetts, as a swath of onlookers attempted to block an ICE raid. Agents were attempting
what are they doing? I thought you were getting the worst of the worst. The rapists, the murderers. They're ripping moms out of cars. They're pinning teenage girls to the floor. They're roughing up middle-aged congresswomen. In masks. They're wearing masks while they do it. You wimps, you cowards, you fools. I'm sorry. Quit. Quit while you can. History is going to judge you. If you grow up, if you die and you say, what did you do for a living? I worked for ICE. Trust me, your kids, whether you know it or not, are going to say, my dad was a bad guy. My dad was a goon and a fool. My dad had a lobotomy. He was brain dead. If you're working for ICE, you know what it is.
I feel 10 feet. That's racism, man. I love to racism, bro.
Yeah, that's sorry. Sorry, I meant to hit something, but it worked. Anyway, it worked. The clip worked. You're a bad guy. There's more. Listen to this. People praying. Praying because people are terrified what's happening in our country. All right, let's move on for a second. So Trump wants to create habeas corpus to purify our country against the invaders that are actually feeding us and taking care of our families and cleaning our rooms and marrying us and having kids with us. God forbid, God forbid. Anyway, so now we have Pete Hegseth, different issue. Moving on. Pete Hegseth talking here now about what? About his war on trans people. What are we doing? Listen, I say this all the time. Where do you think trans people have always been with us, Pete? Some of these people that you're trying to kick out of the military have been with us for 20 years in the military. They've performed exceptionally. There's objective standards. They meet those standards. They're doing just fine. Why do you want to kick them out of the military? With your freaking dated suits. Your suits are so dated, man. I'm just going to tell you right now. It's not current what you're wearing. I know you think it is because you're in a bubble, but it's not good. Yeah, I'm wearing a barbecue t-shirt. I get it. But like if I had your kind of money and like your makeup room and all that garbage, I would not be wearing the tacky suit. What are you? I'm trying to think what it's like. What is it? What does he look like? He looks like looks like a young, no, not young, but his clothes look young. He looks like a kid that went to one of my kids' like junior prom or something. Is the kind of suit he's wearing. It's just not. Well, here, let's just listen to him. It doesn't matter what he's wearing. He's a fool.
Department, we continue to relentlessly pursue the president's agenda, especially on readiness. He put out an executive order a week into his presidency, stating the prioritizing military excellence and readiness, that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service.
All right, this guy is prescribing to us sexual behavior. A guy who's been married 3 times, who has kids with multiple women. There's allegations that he's abusive. There's allegation that he's even a predator, a sexual predator. He's going to be the one who gives us rules about sexuality. This guy. And he wants to give us these strict rules about sexuality based on what he perceives as abnormal. I perceive him as abnormal. I perceive him as weird and creepy. And I perceive him as a little guy who does push-ups on TV to prove that he's tough. Again, there are objective standards in the military that you have to meet. And if you don't meet them, you get kicked out. So whatever he says about readiness is bullcrap. This idea that there's all these people getting surgery all the time and the military is in complete chaos because of trans people. It's just a way to create fear and make you hate somebody so you're not paying attention to the grift that we'll talk about in a second. Or the ineptitude, the fact that this guy is talking to people on commercial messaging apps and letting reporters into the apps.
We agree, and so we implemented that policy. It was challenged in court, and of course, we appealed. And
you lost.
2 days ago at the Supreme Court, our policy was upheld. And so we're going to continue
because you have a bias
to advance that policy here at the Defense Department. So, in accordance with policy now reinstated, service members who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria may elect to separate voluntarily. There's a timeline here.
Pete, 1.7% of the population is intersex, let alone trans. And trans is, I think, a wider category. I'm not an expert on these things, but intersex. Let me just explain to the people out there why that is. It's, by the way, that's more intersex people than redheads. Like me, I'm a redhead. There's more intersex people than people like me. I guess am I a redhead? It doesn't matter. The point is, Pete, we're all born female. Did you know that? Why do you think I want to go here, but I'm going to go. Why do you think you have nipples? And people sometimes develop one way or another way or both ways. It's complex. But God don't make no junk. And some people need surgery to correct something when they're assigned incorrectly. I've talked about this a lot. There's all kinds of examples throughout history. Or maybe some people are physically one way and feel a different way. And we don't have the science to understand that completely. But if they're doing a good job in the military and they have less sexual problems or dilemmas than you've had in your life, your very complicated life, your very weird life of multiple women and multiple relationships and multiple hairstyles and tattoos, all your weird stuff you're doing. I don't got any tattoos or any weird stuff. There's no makeup on me. Who are you to judge anyone?
And eventually, involuntarily, if necessary. This is the president's agenda. This is what the American people voted for, and we're going to continue to relentlessly pursue it.
All right. He in a different video, he swears. I thought I had the right video, but weird guy, weird little guy. Hey, I challenge you. What's your name again? XF. I challenge you. Any physical feat, bowling, darts, wrestling, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, if you beat me, I will accept all your political positions. Show this soy boy what a man you are. I challenge you. Now, I did this a couple years ago online, and some bodybuilder guy challenged me to a fight, and then I was like, let's fight. I'll be there. And he wouldn't respond to my private messages. He was like, oh, no, we're just joking. So, Pete, I doubt you're going to take me up on it. What do you want to do, Pete? You pick the sport. Pick it. Pickleball. Come on, me and you. Pickleball, right? Thank you. Thank you, Tucker. Can you imagine me and XF playing pickleball?
It's so good.
Thank you. I love having a sidekick. Tucker Carlson is my sidekick. Is really nice. Yeah, me and you, Pete. I'm going to take you out.
I feel 10 feet tall right now and strong as an ox.
Yep, I do. All right, here we go. Next one.
Now, what shall we discuss next?
Different. This is not what I want to show you. Well, I'll show you later, maybe.
Why would you
All
want
right,
to support
so because of the leadership comes to the top, right? And because leadership comes to the top, we have our country is just devolving into nonsense, open racism and hatred everywhere. And Pierce Morgan, who's for years has kind of giggled and laughed at some of this stuff as it is, but now suddenly he's seeing maybe the errors of his ways a little bit. He had this trad wife influencer on, and I have two feelings about it. Why would he have her on? And he had her on. I guess it's good to have people like this on so you can sterilize the country because you can show how idiotic they are. But you also have the problem of platforming them. And he obviously has her on because he knows he can rage bait her into saying stupid and horrible things and show who she really is. But it's worth showing. So here we go.
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. Would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
I do, quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist.
Yeah, why?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
If you're using the N-word, yes, you are those things. It's like we've reached a point in our country where all these terribly eggshell sensitive people are like, it's worse to call them racist than to actually be racist. They're like, I'm allowed to be racist. You're not allowed to call me racist. That's the most offensive thing you could do is actually call me what I am. It's like they want to be like, putting people in ovens and be like, how dare you call me a Nazi? Listen, if you do Nazi stuff, we're going to call you a Nazi. You're allowed to say racist stuff, but if people say you're racist, it doesn't mean your rights were violated. It means we're identifying what you are.
Word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying
Shiloh Hendricks is that woman who made that was on that video in Minnesota where she called that little 5-year-old kid the N-word. Like, who would do that? Yeah, at the very least, someone should be visiting at home and saying, "Are you okay, lady? Are your kids okay? Why are you attacking a child on a playground with one of the worst things you could say?" And I think she also physically confronted the kid. God forbid there's consequences for calling a child the N-word at a playground.
Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
No, she uses it to white people at home.
If it's appropriate.
She does not have the guts to use that. If she does,
anytime I feel like it.
All right, say it now.
You're an unashamed racist.
Tough guy.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks?
Oh my gosh, this country. I'm naive because I thought some of this stuff. I believe there was racism. I fought civil rights cases. I've done what I could. I'm not perfect, but I always thought like, hey, maybe our country's getting a little bit better, and I was of the opinion that we're on the right track, but I don't know anymore. All right, well, what do I mean? I know for certain we're not on the right track. What am I saying? It's people like this. I never thought I'd see a day where people go on television and say, I love using the N-word, and I'm also an influencer, and I want to be loved. Lady, get some help, in the infamous words of Michael Jordan. All right. I'll go back to that. All right. And then here's another thing. The Pope. I love the new Pope. I hope he's as good as advertised. He seems great. I looked at his tweets. Basically he's anti-Trump. So be it. Why wouldn't he be anti-Trump? How could Trump, do you think Trump represents Christianity? You're wrong. You think that because your version of Christianity is identity-based. It's not values-based. If you're a values-based Christian and you believe the word of God, the Beatitudes, the turn the other cheek, the New Testament is a radical book, especially when it came out. And it really had a profound effect on me as a kid. when I first read it, still does, but when I was a kid and I read it, I was like, I didn't want to read the New Testament. I thought it was stupid. I was bored. And I read it, and I remember thinking after I finished the Gospels, I felt changed. I felt better. I felt like a better person. I couldn't believe it. It sounds crazy to say that, but I felt a transformation in my soul. And I miss being that person, that version of myself that I was when I was younger. I'm try, but we all fall short, right? But I miss feeling that connection I had when I first read the New Testament. It was so powerful for me. And I guess I know this stuff now, and I've become more jaded as an adult. But I think I should refresh those values. And listen, I'm open to spirituality wherever you find it, whatever church you go to. If you're finding something that means something to you, or if you're an atheist and if you find belief in humanism and secularism, good. But for me, the New Testament was it. It was something else when I read it as a kid. And I believe in the values of the New Testament. It motivates me. It motivates me to be a better person, to be kind and forgiving, and to understand others. And of course, yes, I fall short. And if I ever offended anybody on this podcast or anybody out there, I'm sorry. I am a hot-blooded, sometimes selfish person like anybody else. Not to make an excuse, but I should know better. But I love the new Pope and what he stands for. He stands for immigrants. He stands for wealth, stopping the advancement of climate change, and the lessening the effects of this horrific wealth inequality. And why? And because he stands for those things, who's losing their mind? The right wing. Here we go.
Place that has gone left. The church is dying. Well, I have very little optimism about him being as Pope.
But I think this is Rick Santorum, by the way. And for those Democrats listening to this in Western New York, our county clerk used to work for Rick Santorum and was his big advocate across the country. And our county clerk now claims to be a Democrat. That should give you some inclination of how Democratic or how left-leaning the Democratic Party is. The guy that is criticizing the Pope is in cahoots with our county clerk once upon a time. Or still, I think they're still connected in some way, but we do not have the Democratic Party in Western New York is a joke. Sorry if you're a member of it. I want to say, hey, it's better than the Republicans, but they endorse the same candidates. How can it be better if oftentimes they're giving you the same candidates? Anyway, here we go.
It transitions into talking about Francis and thanking Francis, and then concludes with synodality. And I mean, these are all buzzwords of the left.
I was wrong. I see that
Wait, what is does the woke mean Christian? Is because if you're not a hateful person who thinks all people have values, does that mean you're woke? I guess so. According to these idiots.
Pope Prevost apparently has been critical of President Trump and on the issue of immigration.
Of course.
That's pretty disappointing. He says there's nothing remotely Christian, American, or morally defensible about a policy that takes children away from their parents and warehouses them in cages. I mean, it sounds like he's been indoctrinated into the liberal way of thinking.
Yeah, because if Jesus was here today, he'd be all for putting kids in cages. The guy who said turn the other cheek, the guy who said, ye who without sin cast the first stone. Of course he'd want to put children in cages. The guy who, taught the woman at the well, of course he, taught us to love all people regardless, and all people had value and we're children of God. Of course he'd want to separate people at the border and put them in cages. Of course Jesus would do that. Sure. Of course he'd be for strong borders. All right? He would want alligators and electrical shock barriers at the border too. Of course Jesus would love that. Give me a break. The migrant who ran to Egypt so he wouldn't be killed by the government and then came back to Jerusalem? That's the person?
Leo, I believe it's Leo the 14th, what I'm seeing from his social media does not bode well for Trump supporters, because we're seeing things here where he's attacking J.D. Vance, and not years ago, very recently.
Good for him.
Promoting anti-Trump and anti-Bukele articles.
Not everyone was doing it in 2020. Well, not us, but Mr. Prevost, the new pope, was retweeting George Floyd propaganda. But that is what it is. Whatever.
I mean, when you look at his Twitter feed,
was like an idiot Charlie Clerk. I can't believe so many people like that guy. But Charlie, is it shocking to you that a pope, a Christian leader, would be against a man being killed in the street while he's asking for help and saying, "I'm dying"? I can't believe that they brainwashed America to think that George Floyd being killed in that manner was deserving. And here we are a couple years later with federal agents putting their knee in the back of teenage girls in the streets of suburban Massachusetts. So, good job, Carly. You're a tough guy.
Borders in the United States and kind of took pot shots at J.D. Vance and the Trump administration. Their heart goes out to humanity. That's with the job. Right. Jesus would do the same. I don't know if he'd get so political, and that they're going to have to be careful of.
I'm excited for the new pope. Anyway, we'll see how else go. Let's just talk about Trump. Trump is, by the way, as he's breaking the laws, I think he's afraid of legal liability if he ever does get out of office. He's going to try not to get out of office, but if he ever does get out of office, I think he's going to try to avoid legal liability. And here's him playing I Don't Know Anything.
To Libya? I don't know. You'll have to ask Homeland Security.
Is anyone in your administration right now in contact with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia to the United States?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Attorney General.
It goes on and on. Doesn't know anything.
What's your expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about.
You just announced a new nominee for the U.S. Surgeon General who never finished her residency and is not a practicing physician. So can you explain why you picked her to be America's top doctor?
Because Bobby really thought she was great. I don't know her.
Have you been briefed about?
It goes on and on. He doesn't know anything anymore. He is, he's a scam artist, and we all know this. And he's on the I Don't Know tour. Like, even though he wants to be considered the greatest leader of all time, he generally does seem confused. I do worry about his mental health. I always have, but it's getting to the point now where maybe he really doesn't know anything. Listen, I don't want to think he does know. He does know how to steal money. I'm sorry, kitty cat, you got to go. He does know how to steal money. And, when the first Trump administration happened, we were talking about emoluments a lot. And, how he was getting, foreign leaders were using his hotels and stuff. It's literally chump change or Trump change, right? What do you think of that? Thank you, Tucker. It's really junk compared to what he's doing now. I mean, it's just openly, corruption is using political power for personal gain. That's literally the definition of corruption. And look at what Trump's up to.
First 100 days of the Trump administration will go down in history as the greatest grift in the history of our economy in terms of the amount of money stolen and the size of it over the shortest period. Just some data here. Trump-affiliated entities have made at least $300 million in trading fees. The Trump family's net worth has increased by $3 billion or $1 billion a month since he took office. Just some timeline. The Trump coin launched on a Friday night under cover of dark with all the news about
the Trump coin, again, a meme coin, which are famous for what? Pump and dump. Make it, there used to be regulations regarding these things, but Trump has gotten rid of those regulations. It's a scam. Once upon a time I bought Beetlejuice from Howard Stern just for my friend, for it to be a joke. But we knew it was valueless. It was funny. People literally thought they were going to get rich buying Trump coin as if it was worth something. And again, it's called the last fool theory of economics. It's like you get someone, or the next fool. It's to get someone to buy something is worthless because they're a bigger fool than you. And that's how it works with this Bitcoin stuff. It's only valuable as long as you can get another fool to buy it or to pay you for it. And the way they're doing that is by pumping up the value using their authority as president of the United States or otherwise. Because there is no intrinsic value in any of this stuff. Ask Warren Buffett. Ask any real, legitimate financial analyst. Here we go. Let's listen to some more of this.
By 3 a.m. on Sunday, it was valued at more than $70 billion, and there were a small number of investors who made large investments on a Friday. Maybe they got a tip or something. They made tens, if not hundreds of millions, and then over the course of the next couple of weeks,
Chris Collins, the guy I ran against?
800,000 smaller investors
angry. He went to jail
billions.
over this stuff.
This market manipulation, this what would technically be called insider trading by the SEC, we'll never know because on April 8th, Trump's deputy attorney general ordered the DOJ's crypto fraud investigation arm to disband.
And a bunch
Trump
of these
posted on
crypto
Truth
crooks
Social,
are now
this
free,
is a
by the way.
great time to buy Donald Trump media at 9:37 a.m. Between 1 and 1:10 p.m., there was a huge increase in bullish zero-day S&P 500 call options. And then just 8 minutes later, Trump announced a 90-day pause on all of his tariffs, and the market soared almost 10%, one of the biggest one-day gains in history.
He's manipulating the market for his friends to get rich because it's all a scam. It's all about the next fool. It's about dumping stuff, pumping it up, dumping it. That's how they all got rich. We are living in the time of great corruption. You think you're going to get ahead selling cement or whatever you do, selling soybeans to China? Well, forget that. The only way people get really rich nowadays is finance, and these guys control the levers of finance, and they are ripping us all off, and it's disgusting, and it's going to lead to a financial collapse eventually.
One knew what was going on.
Of course they do. He calls them.
That's called insider trading. The market gained $4 trillion while Trump media closed up 23%,
Chris Collins
increased his net worth by $415 million. On April 23rd, Trump announced that the top holders of the Trump coin would win an exclusive dinner with him, and the coin surged over 60%. Just 58 wallets made more than $10 million apiece, totaling approximately $1.1 billion in gains. Meanwhile, 800,000 wallets of mostly smaller holders have lost money on their Trump coin. It gets worse. Now the kids run on it. World Liberty Financial, a crypto firm run by Trump's sons,
Look at those
Eric
two.
and
Wait,
Don
just look at those
Jr.
two. Look at those two. What good genes they have, right? Look at those two. I met the little one. I told you, I met him at a gas station. He is a not an impressive figure. Ooh, cow. Yep, not impressive.
75% of its revenue. And now it's being leveraged to facilitate pardons for criminals. Justin Sun, a crypto billionaire, was under SEC investigation for securities fraud after investing $75 million in World Liberty Financial. Guess what, Kara? The SEC dismissed his case. This is what
hurting my head.
I'm a realpolitik guy. I don't mind a little bit of corruption as long as it's good for all Americans. I don't mind a little bit of strong arming. But here's the problem, or the tragedy. If Trump brought half the competence, expertise, and elegance to governance as he does to grifting, the country would be in a much better place.
Yeah, he's only passionate about making himself and his family rich. I think that's why he's on this Republican right wing, because he can use it to distract people. He can say, look at the immigrants, look at the trans people, and he can use it to distract people from how much he's ripping off this country. And all you people like Bill Maher, and all, Theo Vaughn, all you MAGA grifters are going along with it because you think, hey, it's better to go along to get along, or whatever that phrase is. You're part of the problem, and you're part of the knee on the back of that teenage girl in Massachusetts, or the lady in Oklahoma who had her house broken into. All right, I'm going to end here because I'm tired. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. To my mama, you're the best. To the mother of my kids, and to the women in my life who take care of me and take care of my children. I love you. You know who I'm talking about. You're good people. Mom, what can I say? I don't know how you did it. I don't think I can. Well, I know I couldn't have done it. You're way better than me. For those who don't know, my mom raised all 7 of us by herself. My father died, and again, life is short. And my dad left us way too early in his 30s. And my mom was there for all of us. She didn't teach us to swear at people. She didn't teach us to use the N-word. She didn't teach us to treat other people worse than us. She treated us to work hard, study hard, be nice, be kind. And I sometimes fall short of that, but I am grateful to my mom. Trying to teach my boys the same thing. Love you, boys. I hope someday maybe you'll listen to this. Probably not, but I love you anyway. And you're good boys. You're smart. You're strong. You make me proud every day. Anyway, I'm still proud of this country. And I if Trump, with his Article 2 madness, tries to take over the country, I'm very worried about it. I hope Article 1 and Article 3 hold up. But I do love America. And I found this version, Stephen Wilson Jr., he's a singer-songwriter. He's got a great song about growing up in 1994. Is when I grew up. And very much, I remember every line of the songs. It resonates with me. And I love his version of the national anthem. I picked it up by accident, and I wanted to play it on the way out. So here we go. Still believe in this country. I have to. It's my country.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light was the valley we heard at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, and the bombs bursting in air gave room through the night that our flag was still there. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and all the brave.